Is it good?
Good. I can
Okay.
see.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming back to day 5 of my Christmas special. As you can see, we both have hats and we're getting closer and closer to Christmas. And I have a special guest today. This is Carla, and she is actually living in Denmark, but she's from South Africa. So we will get to learn a little bit about how Christmas is in South Africa and how she celebrates here in Denmark, and try to kind of keep the culture, both culture of South African and also here in Denmark. I would like to welcome Carla to the episode. And if you want to introduce a little bit about yourself, Carla, and yeah, how you got here into Denmark.
Okay, well, thanks for that. Yeah, my name is Carla, and we actually from Pretoria. We came here a year ago to Copenhagen, and I'm a family of four. So it's my husband and my two little boys. He's the eldest is 7, and the youngest is 4. So Christmas is still very much about the presents.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of South Africa, we we had it really is all about the food. I think with all cultures, the food is the biggest thing. But it was really about on Christmas Day. It wasn't so much about Christmas Eve until I met my husband, and then suddenly things changed, and then we were celebrating Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And then it just seemed to be and Boxing Day and all the way to New Year's, right? So with more food and more family. Yeah, so we moved here a year ago, and I actually opened my own business. It's called More Play, doing child minding play groups with moms and tots. Back home, we had a moms and tots, and I sent my boys through that, and it was just a great experience. So I decided to bring that through here to Copenhagen. But yes, more about Christmas. We'll talk about More Play next time.
Yeah, definitely. I would love to learn more about it. And I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure a lot of, well, our target is international parents. So they would want to learn more about it and see how you're doing it and what it's all about.
Yeah, yeah.
But how would you describe Christmas in South Africa versus Christmas here in Denmark?
Okay. Well, I think for us, back home in South Africa, well, I can't say home, back in South Africa, because we have a new home now, we lived in a security village, which is pretty much a gated community of about 200 families or 200 houses. And the thing that I suppose I miss about that is that we would celebrate with candles, carols by candlelight, and because it's summer in December, then we'd have picnics out on the lawn, and all the families would get together, and then we'd celebrate in that way. And we'd all, as a community, look forward to celebrating Christmas time together. Whereas I don't think we found that yet here in Denmark. We don't have that. The community, the whole city is a gated community. If you think about it, it's that safe. Right.
Yeah.
So there's no need for smaller sort of groups of people to get together. So I think that's what I miss about South African Christmas, is that we had that connection with our neighbors. Whereas here, I feel it's a little bit more distant, a little. It is probably because we don't know enough people, and we're not involved in what the Danes are doing necessarily, other than, of course, whatever our kids are involved in, and they're always up to something. So there's always some Christmas celebration at school happening. So yeah, but we're happy here. It's still very special here. There's definitely a lot of hygge. You can feel it. You could just
Yeah.
walk in the streets and the lights, and it's just everybody's very festive. So it really does feel like an extended community. But we haven't really found our place where we can get together and do picnics. I mean,
Yeah.
not summer here. So it's a little different. Everything's a lot more indoors.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I think that's that's pretty much the difference that we've noticed. That I could say I miss for sure
Do you
about.
miss like the warm
Oh
Christmas?
yes, oh, yes. I miss the sun.
Yeah,
Should
I
have to
bet.
put it that way. I do miss the sun, especially now in winter in Denmark. The sun is a big deal. I was very jealous when you had your birthday and the sun actually came out for your birthday.
Yeah.
I also had my birthday now in November, and the sun did not make an appearance, and it's disappointing, but it goes with, it's part of the package, and it
Yeah,
goes with a wonderful summer. Actually, we've only had one now, and we were pretty impressed.
yeah.
Um, the sun does come out, and it shines pretty warm. So yeah, not
You
all.
definitely appreciate sun a little bit more when
Oh,
it's
for
this
sure,
kind of winter.
sure. We look forward to the sun coming back for sure.
You said that you kind of changed the way you celebrate Christmas since you met your husband. What's your husband's background, and how did he introduce a new tradition into your life?
Okay. So he is, we met 18 years ago. We started dating 18 years ago. And then I, he's Portuguese.
Mhm.
So his family celebrated on Christmas Eve, and they would have seafood dinner and then go to midnight mass, and we'd come home, and we'd go with them because we were still young enough, if you want to say.
Yeah,
And, so we'd go with them to midnight mass with his parents and his grandfather. And his mom had passed away at that time. And yeah, and then we'd get to open one gift on Christmas Eve. And then the next morning, we'd obviously sleep in late and then open all the other gifts. Um, and then again, more food. So then it would be the Christmas lunch. But yeah, so it kind of extended the Christmas to 2 days as opposed to just the one day, which I was used to growing up as a child. Um, so from when I was a child, we would just do Christmas Day. So it was the night before. The extent of the celebration would be make sure the cookie and milk is out for
yeah,
Santa because he's coming. So that was all we did. And then on Christmas Day, we would wake up really early, and then it would just be presents and family, tons of family, and yeah, and then we'd make our family dinners or lunches would be made of poikies. They call them poikies. It's pretty
okay.
much stews.
Ah,
So
okay,
yeah, because there's so many people, it's like it's a cast iron pot, like a cauldron,
okay.
on an open fire, and we'd have a chicken stew going, and we'd have a seafood stew, and sometimes we'd have a biltong and red wine stew. So it's a super easy kind of thing to do when there's lots of people, and you just throw it all in and you let it cook, and you enjoy the summer day. Swimming and running around, and yeah, just enjoying the sun. So when we then had our own kids 7 years ago, we had we would do the Christmas Eve with his family,
Hmm.
um, the Portuguese tradition, and then we'd do Christmas Day with my family, and we'd do the Christmas lunch and things. And but of course we skipped the midnight mass because it's just chaos to take little people out in
Yeah,
the middle of the night, so that just doesn't work anymore. So now we kind of merged that into our new life in Denmark as
yeah.
well. We'll celebrate Christmas Eve just like we would back home,
Uh-huh.
without the family.
Yeah, and the sun.
Yeah, and the sun. Yeah. But yeah, we I'm just trying to think what else we would do differently. Obviously, we have the elf on the shelf,
Yeah,
from South Africa,
yeah.
2 years ago. And I recall my youngest, he was 2 at the time. He hated that guy. He
Oh,
was
yeah.
he was like, "Oh hell no, this guy's gonna spy on me. Are you joking? Like,
Yeah, it's
no
kind of
way."
scary if you think about it.
It is. So I really like the Danish. Did you call it a Nisa? Is
Yeah,
it
Nisse. Yeah, my daughter has one, and we have the
okay?
door up, so there's no creepy little elf like staring at it. I don't think she would like it either because she doesn't like certain stuffed animals that are too
Okay.
lively.
Okay. I really like that idea of the door because, like I said, my 2-year-old at the time, he hated that guy, and
Yeah,
now that he's 4, he's kind of, the elf's still around, and we couldn't like stop the tradition because now where did the elf go? If,
yeah,
our 7-year-old's going to say, but I remember the elf. Where did that guy go? Did he now, disappear now that we're in Denmark? And we didn't want to change things,
yeah.
but now I think it's time to actually say goodbye to the elf and maybe make a little adjustment where we say to the elf, or rather, the elf tells the children that they see that they're good kids and they don't need to be watched anymore.
They
And
just go in the
just
house.
give them the comfort and just say, I do need a door though. So would you make me a door? And then I
Yeah,
can just come visit you and I drop off some treats, or, just change the way that the elf on the shelf works,
yeah,
just to create less anxiety and entitlement as well. The expectation of, well, I was good, so I should get a present.
yeah,
Like, well, that's not really the Christmas spirit, right? So,
yeah.
yeah, I think
That's actually a
just
really
take
like
that.
really good idea, and nice that you're now kind of implementing the Danish. That's actually my next question was,
Yes.
have you adapted any Danish traditions to your family life or your home life now since you've been living here for 1 year?
Yeah. So definitely, we haven't done anything yet. So not yet. That answers that question. But I want to. I would like
Yeah,
to evolve the way that the elf sort of comes in our house, and not necessarily spying on the children anymore, but just more of a fun sort of way of, still keeping him around. Yeah, and also for integration purposes, because
yeah.
the 7-year-old's going to go to school and he's going to say, well, my elf did this, and
No
other
one's
kids
gonna know what
never
he
seen
did. Yeah,
elf.
it's like,
Do you
what
know
elf?
elf?
Do you see
Oh
it?
my goodness, he has the elf, so like he stole the elf.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I think for integration purposes, it would
yeah.
be good for them to share the elf tradition with the door, and yeah, then they could still talk about it, but in the same way. um, yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's actually a really good idea, and where you're kind of integrating the culture that you have in South Africa, and not really making it disappear, but kind of
that's
making a little change on it.
yes, yeah,
Yeah,
evolving.
evolving. Yeah, you evolved the elf on the shelf, and I
Yes,
actually think this would do really good in the U.S.
that is a good idea because,
Yeah, because they don't have the door. Like you don't think about it.
yes, yes, it's definitely, the elf has a place for all the
Yeah,
human tricks and the spirit that he brings.
yeah,
But I mean, for the research that there's been done on the elf and the psychological effects on children, it doesn't have very good connotations. So I really feel like it's time for us to now adapt, and the door is a great alternative.
yeah.
It's an
It
absolute,
is.
yeah, yes. Still
Um,
keeps
yeah, it
without
does.
the,
It still keeps the whole thing with the
yes,
traditions, with both traditions of the elf, even in the U.S.
yes,
Um,
yes.
and do you have anything else? Do you think that actually, do you think with all these different traditions, it gets a bit overwhelming? Trying to maintain the tradition with your husband, and also with South Africa, and now the new different traditions that they have here in Denmark that your kids will be talking about, with their friends at school.
Well, I think it's simpler. I want to say it's actually simpler for
Yeah,
us because when we were back home, we were literally split between this family, that family, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, where what's going to happen. But now it's pretty cold and lonely.
yeah,
So we miss our family, of course. So I think in terms of overwhelming, it's not overwhelming for us. We get to celebrate it in our own way and create our own little traditions now as our family, and bring us closer. But I think in terms of the gifts and things, it's again simpler
yeah.
because we've got an Amazon wish list, which is
Hmm.
just easy, right? We all have a wish list of
Yeah.
a few goodies, different price ranges, and then our family get to choose something for us, and then it just arrives at the door. So, in terms of the shopping for the gifts and things, certainly from the family back home that want to send something, because in the end, that's the only thing that our kids are going to now experience of my mom and my dad and my sister, and Richard's family as well, my husband's family.
Yeah.
It's the only way to kind of bring them into our home is via the gift from them. So, and my son being so young, 4 years old, he's forgotten a lot already about South
Hmm.
Africa. So it will just it's a good way for us to just bring memories back. I was actually thinking of putting little photo baubles.
Yeah.
Yeah, so of the whole family on the tree. So I think this little tree here has been done by my kids. So it's a little bit,
Yeah, that's
but
cute.
yeah, we intend to put some photo baubles just to remember,
Oh,
really.
that's a good idea. That's a
Yeah,
really good idea. I might actually steal that idea.
so yeah, it's
It's
also
hard being away from family, and we want to remind our kids that we do have family back home.
yeah,
The good thing is my kids always get to see my family via Skype, but we also, when we visit them, it just means it's more meaningful when
yes,
they get to see
yes,
them.
for sure, for sure. So the South Pole and the North Pole are pretty far away, and
Yeah,
Corona, the way that it is at the moment, is just impossible. But it's definitely on our list for next year.
yeah,
Our plan is to go back home to South Africa next year.
yeah,
And then we'll have to do a national tour for probably about 2 weeks just to get to see everybody, because
yeah. South Africa's big.
it's big and we've got family in every main city. So
Yeah,
it's gonna be a big one next year.
yeah.
Fingers crossed that we can. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that'd be fun. But
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing your traditions and what you do in South Africa, and how you implement it here now in Denmark, living in your new home. And yeah, I think it's just so interesting how it's warm in South Africa when you have Christmas, and it's warm in California, but not like summer warm. We still get rain, so it's still like fall close. But I can't imagine having like bathing suit weather
Oh.
for Christmas. But I bet it's very nice compared to rain, wind, and cold weather right now that we're having in Denmark.
So I guess we've exchanged the warmth from the sun to
Yeah,
the warmth of our hearts in our
yeah,
family.
the hoogle. We exchange it for the hoogle.
That's
But it's not too bad that we can go home to warm sun during winter. So,
definitely, definitely. It'll be great.
but thank you so much for sharing your South African tradition. And now here, I know I already mentioned that, but if we're gonna have another episode with you on talking about your more play uh, program that you're doing in Copenhagen. So I'm looking forward to that. After this Christmas one that we do, we'll probably have it in January. So if anyone wants to learn more about more play in Copenhagen, watch out for that in January or February, depending on when we can fit our schedule. But this is the end of this episode. And for all the listeners out there, and you want to know what country is coming up next tomorrow, you'll have to stay tuned on and be on my Facebook or Instagram or on YouTube, actually, to see which country is actually next. So bye, everyone. Thank you for listening.